welcome everybody. Happy New Year again. We're live in our studio the first time for 2018. This is our brand new studio. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I got Chip Hayner and Smoking Jim Frazier. He's all fired up tonight. But that's another story. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Appreciate your great feedback. Like talking to all of you, and we're also on Verizon 32 everywhere in the greater Pittsburgh area, from Nemacolin to Cranberry and Wexford. Thanks for watching, and we're going to put on a good show, talk some sports. Wait till you hear Smoking Jim Frazier. He's, who knows what he's up to today. And I don't know when he'll bring the race card up tonight. Oh, I brought it up too quick. Who knows what happens. Thanks for all the likes on Facebook. We hit a brand new high of, I forget what we even had, 569. So appreciate all those likes. Can't beat that. And we start our show with What's on Your Mind. It's sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station, 724-348-4715. Anything that runs on gas, guess what? Skeets will work on it for you. Even your snowmobile. We had a lot of snow lately. It's warming up. 60-some degrees coming Thursday, so get ready for that heat wave. Enough weather report. I got some promos here to talk about. First, want to thank Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 412-831-1900. That pizza's delicious. Smoking Jim's still chewing on it. Can't beat that. Another thing is we end each show with Stay Joey Strong, the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Donate some money to them. They're a 501c3. All the money they collect with their activities and events, it goes to find DIPG, the brain cancer that killed Joey before his 9th birthday. Another 501c3, the Bethel Park Historical Society's Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. Right here in Bethel on South Park Road, you can see the trolley. And donate some money to them. They put on a lot of great activities and have events there, even rent out the place to different businesses. So check that out. Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. Now, if you have a group at Bethel Park, the BP Community Foundation, bpcf.org, go there, get an application. If you need money for your group in Bethel to help promote it, do more good things in the community, from $100 to $5,000. You can apply for that. Check it out, bpcf.org. Let's see what else I got here. All right. Dave Cable likes to make some fun of me. Put my face on Uncle Sam's. Oh, by the way, 1 second here. Thanks, Marianne, for the haircut at Zazu Salon. I was there today, and she said, "What took you so long? Your hair's a little long." Chip was telling me about it last week. Smoking Jim said it looked good even though it was long. He thought it was 1975 again. So I'm back. Got the haircut.
Tie-dye shirt and bell bottoms, huh?
Yeah. We're going strong. All right, Dave, come up with this. I want you for BPTV, 412-831-3304. You can help do our shows. We got Devin Shea. We got Steve, the Rookie of the Year, Fisher, helping us out to put our show out tonight on the airwaves, so you can watch us on Comcast 7 and Verizon 32. They're doing all the background work here in the control room and making sure we sound good and look good. We got the lights on. We got our chairs this week. Chip doesn't have his little spin-around chair this week, so he's up. Yes, he does.
Yes, I do.
He'll try not to turn around. Now we're going to start with What's on Your Mind, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green, you got
nice
to
catch
see
this
Levine.
week.
I brought it in, man.
Wow.
Last year I had 52 targets and caught 50 of them, so.
That's not bad.
Ain't bad. But what's on my mind is a lot of people on my way over here asked me to break down the game a little bit between the Steelers and Jacksonville, even though we have a Steelers segment. So got to do what fans want to do. So I'll break it down a little bit. The problem I see with the Pittsburgh Steelers right off the bat is they're a very undisciplined group. So now you have an offensive coordinator who is a hands-on guy that's going from the sideline to the booth because he got a dip in his hip. And probably because he's hands-on is the reason why he got knocked off that bar stool. But anyhow, so now the problem that I see communication-wise is now instead of getting a group of 11 or 15 offensive players together, now you have to rely on guys going to the telephone one by one. And that is not going to happen. And number two, or he'll relay the message to one of his offensive coaches who they don't respect the coordinator, so they're not going to respect the position coach. So that's going to be a problem for your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey, time on.
Yes, sir.
What do we care when we're going to the no huddle and Big Ben's calling the plays?
Good point.
Okay, now carry on.
If they do that.
That's what they're going to do.
The Pittsburgh Steelers have made it perfectly clear that they can't stop the run or the pass. So that's going to be a problem. Also, Jacksonville, a lot of people don't realize this, Chipper, is Jacksonville is 4-1 at Heinz Field against Big Ben. So they're very comfortable winning there. Also, Blake Bortles, who I'm a fan of, kind of reminds me of Tim Tebow. And Tim Tebow still have NFL records that he set against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, Jacksonville's defense, as I wind up, in my opinion, is the best defense I've seen since the '85 Bears. That's going to be a problem. So my score.
Easy, Chip. Take a deep breath.
Score is
Take a deep breath.
Jaguars 31, Pittsburgh Steelers 17, and that's what's on my mind.
I got to take a deep breath on that. Smoking Jim Frazier, you've done it again. Sensationalism is your middle name.
Whatever that means.
Look that up in your funkin' waggles, buddy. Sensationalism.
You still got one?
Yeah, I got a dictionary right here. I'm not bringing it out for you. You don't even read. You got books that you haven't even looked at past 19 pages. All right, thank you. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
I got to tell you, Jim, just when I think that you're not going to say anything, it's not going to make me laugh uncontrollably, you tell me something. Yeah. Best defense since the '85 Bears, right? And the 49ers hung 38 on them. Okay, but that's just a minor detail. That was only 3 weeks ago. Okay, but that's but they do have the #1 defense in football this year, so you got to give them credit for that. Ask me what's on my mind. Once again, another shining example of why television ratings for the NFL were down 9.7% this season. Over last year.
They just come
and
out with
over
that
last year, and the ratings were down over 8% from the previous year. And some of the examples that I'd like to bring to everybody's attention about the hypocrisy of the NFL. Okay, let's just rewind.
Look that word up, Smoking Jim.
Let's just rewind back to the end of the Saints and the Panthers game, where the quarterback for the Panthers, Crybaby Cam, got knocked senseless, okay? Couldn't even make it to the sideline without falling to one knee. Somehow managed to avoid going through the concussion protocol and going to the locker room to be examined by the doctor, and still was able to go out and play on the next series of downs, which, of course, he failed again. So, where is this concussion protocol? Where is the commitment to player safety? Well, let me guess. Doesn't matter if you're in your last 2 minutes of a playoff game, does it? It sounds pretty ridiculous to me. It's just another example. I'd like to even give a better example from earlier in the Saints and the Panthers game. So there's a stoppage in play. All right, we go to commercial. We go to a commercial. We watch 2 or 3 minutes of commercials. We come back. The referees say, the previous play will now be reviewed. So they waited for a commercial to be played so that they could get the advertising dollars. Okay, and then they took 8 minutes to review a play. Like, these are the kind of things that make, to me, are starting to make the NFL unwatchable. I've always loved the game. I've watched the NFL since I was a child. I've watched the NFL since before Jim Frazier was born. Okay, and I have been a fan. You know, the first one of the first teams that I fell in love with was Vince Lombardi's Packers. That's how far back I go. So. I wish the NFL would get its stuff together, and I find another thing that interesting is that it's a bigger announcement of who's officiating the game this weekend than it is who's playing the game. You know, the Steelers are preparing to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars, the last time they came to Pittsburgh, they put it on the Steelers. There's no denying that. And the Steelers got something for them. Okay, and Jim had to give his prediction for the game, and I'm going to have to give mine. Provided the Steelers do not turn the ball over, they're going to beat the Jaguars by 14 points. Mark my words. But that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Chip. I'm glad that you proved to Smoking Jim Frazier that ratings are down. Because he's been skeptical every week.
These are
even
only
with
facts.
The facts.
These are only facts. Okay, you can look them up.
We'll look for fiction and fact in a little bit from the Smoking Jim Almanac. Well, let me say before we get too far in here, since we all mentioned Steelers win, beat Jacksonville.
Wow.
What's on my mind is 13-3. That's for me. I can't forget. I predicted 11-5. I was wrong. I apologize again because I was wrong.
Jacksonville's 11-5.
But we're 13-3. I know you get distracted easily. I'll try to stay focused on this. I don't really care whether we defend the pass or the run. We seem to score one more point than the other team. And whether we're cardiac kids or not, I like that phrase. So what if we take it down to the last second? Or so what if we go to overtime to win? How many times over the Tomlin era have we lost to these teams with losing records? Wait, Jacksonville got 11-5 record? We're going to beat them because they got a winning record. He has a great record with winning record teams. And so what if they beat us 4 out of 5 times in our ballpark? We're a little bit focused, even though you sort of miss that the players are concentrating on beating Jacksonville because they were embarrassed.
Exactly.
And you know how yourself, when you get embarrassed about something, you come out 10 times stronger than you normally are, especially by your reactions on Facebook to some of the nonsensical things that you talk about. But that's just my opinion. I haven't been able to buy into that, but I appreciate all the film you watch, but the Steelers will win the game for numerous reasons. Big Ben's been throwing the ball better. AB, whatever he had wrong with his calf, he will be 100% now. Now, you can tell me about a brother's calf, that he got brother calves, which mean they're like little chicken wings. So he's healed up somehow, some way. He'll be there. He's a unanimous All-Pro again.
The only one. The only one.
Yeah.
Brother calf.
I understand. Don't bite too hard on that. And he's not brittle, even though he has been hurt a couple times. But we will be fine, and we're going to move on with this. Go Steelers. I'm a big fan. Been that way all year. And we'll come back with Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Yeah, well,
Hi, Bethel Park. Uncle Al speaking. I'm asking you to come help us behind the scenes at BP TV. We're looking for some proud Bethel Park residents to help us make the shows that you want to watch. For more information, contact Station Director Dave Cable, and we will see you behind the cameras at BP TV.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show, but in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
All right, thanks Al Levine, the Talking Machine, and Chip. I just got one question for you guys for a start in. Who's the AFC North champ?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers. No, it's actually Jacksonville Jaguars because they beat every team in the AFC North, including the 44-6 beating of the Baltimore Ravens in London.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Where does that show up anywhere in any standings?
It'll show up Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Well, yeah, it showed up when they had to play in the wild card weekend, like the rest of the scrubs.
Yeah, and we're still the champs, buddy.
Some teams.
Hold it, 13-3. That's for me.
That's it. You'd be surprised how many teams like to play, don't like that bye week. They like to keep that momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
We enjoyed it.
Jacksonville's one of them.
We enjoyed it.
We'll be a little rusty.
We enjoyed it.
With
We're
one-
not going to be rusty.
With a one-legged Antonio Brown and
We're
everybody
not
wanting
going
the ball.
to, with the offensive coordinator up in the booth, we'll be fine. That's
only
actually a
how-
good thing.
And Juju's going to have to hitchhike for him to get downfield to
He
get
can drive
Jacksonville's
now.
score.
He can drive now. He got the car and the keys.
Well, what's on? Well, Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac goes back a few years. Like I says, and for me, the national champions is the Central Florida undefeated team. Beat Auburn, the team that beat Alabama. Also,
And Georgia,
they beat Georgia too.
I think in the regular season.
Wow, they beat Georgia too.
You missed that fact.
Yeah, I missed that one. And thanks, Chip.
Georgia beat them in the SEC championship, but they did lose in the regular season.
And also the AP came out with their top 20, and 5 Big Ten teams are ranked in the top 18. And for the Big Ten not to have a representative in there, I think is the reason why. Again, but a couple years ago, I met Coach Nick Saban. And Nick Saban, and everybody knows, one of the most successful collegiate coaches ever, was in his presence for 2 days. He was so boring the first day that I avoided him the second day. But he did drop a little nugget on me. I asked Nick Saban, I says, I didn't say it in these words, but I kind of said, Coach, since you blew it in the NFL, was that your most embarrassing coaching moment? And he said, no. He says, my first embarrassing coaching moment, Smoking Joe.
At least he knew your name.
Yeah, at least he knew my name. He said was when, and Nick Saban's from Ohio, by the way, so this was in Ohio. And he says was when my first year at Alabama. He said we played in the opening game against ULM. And he said that's the University of Louisiana Monroe. And he said they beat us. And he says I was embarrassed, the team was embarrassed. He says I went to a service station to get some gas. And the guy working there seen my national championship ring from LSU. And he says, hey, where's that ring from? You know how they talk in Alabama. And he says, oh, it's a national championship ring from LSU. We're going to do the same thing here at Alabama. And he says, not unless they get rid of that Nick Saban. So that's how it all started. But I tell you what, then he told me something that really made a lot of sense. And like I said, this is over about 12 hours. I got 2 pieces of nuggets from him. But he said the most important thing to winning is your mindset. And he says you got to have your people thinking and focusing on what it takes to win. And that's what he did last night in that game when he put the Hawaiian kid who looked black into the game for the
Race
kid
car.
that was 27-2.
He looked Polynesian, in case you were wondering.
Stand corrected, 25-2.
25-2. But that's what brought me to ask, and as I wrap this up, Chip, and he earned that national championship last night, Nick Saban. But I wanted to ask you guys.
That's his sixth.
Huh?
That's his 6th.
6th national championship, yeah.
Tied Bear Bryant.
I'm surprised you didn't
wanted
bring
to-
that up.
I wanted to ask you guys this. Excuse me.
Sure.
Because, you know, Eddie Robinson, to me, is the greatest coach of all time, college football. I wanted to ask you guys this. I
the
always
point.
felt that in baseball, if a pitcher doesn't have it, you pull him and put another pitcher in. How come in football, a guy could be off, but nobody ever pulls the quarterback? I think Nick Saban did a good thing. I think the other kid may get his starting job back, maybe. I don't think he's lost it. I think they'll fight it out in the spring. But why is it that coaches will refuse to pull a quarterback when baseball, they have no problem pulling pitchers?
Because coaches are very, very stubborn, to put it mildly. They don't want to admit that they're wrong by starting the other guy.
Oh, to go back to the Steeler days, didn't Bradshaw get yanked a few times?
That was a great coach in Chattanooga, like Nick.
I'm just
like Nick
saying,
Saban.
buddy.
Yeah.
I
Jefferson
recall
Street
that.
Joe Gillum.
Yeah.
I remember
Terry
when you were in
Hanratty.
a diaper. You were wearing diapers, and Joe Gillum was coming in,
Yeah, I heard of him.
and Hanratty.
Yeah, Terry Hanratty, yeah.
Bradshaw got the bench.
Even Cordell Stewart got pulled.
See, I knew
Oh,
we
the
could. Pull,
great Cordell
I
Stewart.
remember we could pull these facts out of you because you've observed a film every day.
So there he is.
See, there's your answer. How'd we do?
Nick Saban did something that probably very
No,
few coaches would do.
I will tell you this. Nick Saban, it was a ballsy move, pulling your starting quarterback at halftime in the national championship game. The guy that had been with your team, started every game of the season, to start an untested freshman, a true freshman,
That looked
19 years
black.
old. He was Polynesian. Okay, so he's from Hawaii. That's, but that was a very gutsy move. He could have either looked like a genius or like a goat. But, the goat he's carrying around now is the greatest of all time.
I like that.
And Smoking Jim Frazier,
Good.
you met the guy and got 2 nuggets from him. Another one is the mindset you follow because you're delusional at times about these things in winners. Because your mindset is these teams are going to win. You lost 5 houses last year.
I sure did.
So I like your mindset. You did take something away from a coach. And what I think the word that described him is he was bold last night in making that choice because he knew he needed a quarterback that could throw. And his quarterback that won those 25 games and only lost 2 really can't throw. So his back was against the wall. He went against what conservative, normal coaches would do, and he was bold in his move. And look, the kid threw an interception in the first series.
Wow.
How about that? He
Well,
left
look,
him
We
in.
heard of LeVar Ball and BBB.
No,
but-
we're eliminating listening to the
but
ball.
Nick Saban is BB, bold and boring.
Who was that you were talking about?
LeVar Ball.
I never heard of her.
ESPN's going to drop that like a hot potato.
Drop what?
LeVar.
Why?
Because he's
Luke
doing-
Walton? Because he
no,
said Luke
'cause he's-
Walton lost the team?
Because he's doing what you do.
What?
He's saying stuff to rile people up.
He got his kids over in Lithuania, man. They're
What's he-
balling professionally.
What's he watching the Lakers from Lithuania? They don't even have a TV channel that can cover it.
I don't know where that's at. I don't know
And
where
all of a
Ukraine
sudden,
is.
all of a sudden,
Lithuania is
somebody
in Eastern
that could
Europe.
not cut it in the game himself is criticizing other people that have been able to.
Oh, come
I find
on
that
now.
very amusing.
Come on, man. But he's telling this right.
This is a
Luke
little
lost the
sidebar.
team.
This is a little sidebar discussion, like off the record in front of the camera.
LeVar Ball is telling
He can be your hero, and I don't see you wearing any of his gear because it's too high priced. When's he giving you some of that ball wear? And thanks, Smoking Jim, for including us in your your discussion here with
Pittsburgh
fiction
had
and
an
fact.
NBA team. LeVar Ball would be here
Well, Smoking
watching
Jim,
his son play.
it's not happening.
We missed
There
out.
he
We
goes,
missed
Smoking
out.
Jim, what he's known for. And then I got to bring this up since Smoking Jim says these outrageous, positive, winning type things. He said on Facebook he might have been hacked. Well, a bunch of people read the comments and they go, the comments you're making about the Steelers, they seemed a little bit odd. So I had to share that. So even though you've been hacked, he admits to his statements that are a little bit odd. And we're gonna move on to Chip Hainer now.
Oh, good evening, everybody. And, here we go into the dead of the winter.
Yeah.
We just went through the last 12 or 13 days of sub-zero temperatures.
I had to shovel.
And we're going to have a heat wave. It's going to be 50 degrees in 2 days. But what I decided to direct my trivia to this evening is Hall of Fame inductions. We've got Baseball Hall of Fame being voted on as we speak.
didn't know
And the National Football League Hall of Fame. Come Super Bowl weekend, the 15 finalists will be whittled down to who gets enshrined at Canton. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to start off first with baseball because baseball is not very a hot topic right now. And I'd like to enlist the help of my dear friend Jim Frazier
Zero gets
in
in this year.
evaluating the NFL 15 finalists.
Yes, sir.
To see what his thoughts are, and we'll see how close to reality they become. But for baseball, I'm going to go with probably the top 5 candidates that are likely to make the Hall this year. Okay, and the first one that I'll talk about is Vladimir Guerrero. Vladimir Guerrero had a pretty stellar career, and last year he got 71.7% of the vote. You need 75% to get elected. So looks like he's inching ever closer.
Yeah.
The next up would be the gentleman that has the second most saves in the history of the Major League Baseball, Trevor Hoffman. And Trevor Hoffman came in just this short last year, 74% of the vote. And I think this year he may end up getting tipped over the top so that he can go in as a relief pitcher prior to when the greatest relief pitcher in history goes in a couple of years, Mariano Rivera.
They let part-time players get in?
So they do it all, Jim. Next up, first-year eligibility, Chipper Jones of the Atlanta Braves. And Chipper's pedigree is he had a career .303 batting average, 2,726 hits, 468 home runs, and 1,623 RBIs. He does have a good chance to be elected on the first ballot. We'll see how that pans out. Next up, somebody that I would be more inclined to believe that has a better chance to make it than not is Jim Thome. Yeah. Jim Thome was a first baseman that played with the Cleveland Indians most of his career. 612 home runs for his career. Now, this was during the steroid era that he performed in, and he was never tainted by the investigations involving steroids. So Jim Thome is a possibility. And speaking of part-time players, there's been a groundswell of activity for one Edgar Martinez. And Edgar Martinez basically made his name as a designated hitter. And there have been no players elected into the Hall of Fame whose careers were spent as DHs. Maybe he could be the first one. So these 5 men, I look seem to have a better chance than most of making it into the Hall
I
of
got to
Fame this
interrupt you.
year.
I didn't hear Barry Bonds.
And you probably won't. I mean, you know, everybody says that he's deserving of being into the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest hitters that we ever saw, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, you know something about Barry Bonds? He did not even have a 300 batting average for his career. How do you call that great?
How many MVPs?
What does that have to do
No,
with
I'm
anything?
just asking. Do you know?
Seven?
Before
Yeah.
clear or
7,
after?
but
Seven
yeah,
MVPs?
and,
Before clear or after
Seven
clear?
league-
Before.
seven league-
So here's the question. Here's the question I want to
Before
answer. You know, now you're talking about somebody that's cheated, okay? So we don't care about how he gets to where the end result. It's the end result that matters, not whether or not he played the game with any integrity. No, he
You guys are
didn't.
prejudiced against Barry Bonds.
He did it to himself, Jim.
You loved him, but he played for the Pirates.
Yeah, that was before he started juicing.
It's like you guys love James Harrison. Now you hate him because he.
I don't know. I never hated him. I never hated
Super
him.
Bowl ring.
I have no feelings for
He's going to
James
get another
Harrison.
Super Bowl.
I have no feelings.
Now, you
for
know
him.
what? I got some thoughts about that we'll talk about later. So now we're going to go to the NFL.
Thanks,
okay?
Chip. Let's continue.
So, because we don't want to get deterred, and there were 15 finalists for the NFL Hall of Fame this year.
Okay.
And we're going to start going with, okay, the one first ballot. I think he would probably be a unanimous selection. It was Jim's favorite linebacker, Ray Lewis.
Greatest
And
football player of all time.
so we do believe that Ray Lewis is somebody that will go. Now, here are some of the other candidates.
Did
And
he
we'll talk
murder a
about,
guy? Did he murder a man
I don't know.
and then become a preacher? I'm confused.
Hey, he's another one. Don't get me started.
Sorry.
Next, we got Brian Dawkins. He played defensive back, a lot of seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Clemson. Great player.
Brian Dawkins. Alan Faneca.
Well, Brian Dawkins won't get in.
Brian Dawkins will not get in.
Not
Alan Faneca, 9-time Pro Bowler with the Pittsburgh Steelers, offensive
Should
guard.
have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Might not get in.
Okay. Steve Hutchinson.
Great offensive lineman, especially in college at Michigan, won't get in.
Okay. Edwin James.
And may I say again that Hines Ward won't get in before Antonio Brown, just so that.
Well, and Hines Ward isn't even in the top 15. So, okay, so we're
I'm
not
just-
talking about him.
I'm just saying that.
So-
I just wanted to
so
say
we're not
that
talking
Antonio
about
Brown
him.
will get in before
Okay,
him.
we're not talking
How do you
about
spell
him.
sensational comments?
Edwin James is next.
Edgerrin James deserves to get in, but he won't.
No, and I don't believe that he does. He's got the credentials to make it to the Hall of Fame. Ty Law, again, somebody that had a pretty outstanding career.
Shutdown cornerback from Malaquippa deserves to be in, won't
He
get in.
won't get in. And then we got, I know this one's a guaranteed lock, John Lynch, Denver Broncos, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, Jim wants him in. He's let that be known already.
I love John Lynch, strong safety, one of the greatest of all time, won't get in.
Kevin Mawai, center for the New York Jets. I think there's far too many offensive linemen on the list for any of them to make it this year.
Kevin Malai is a Hawaiian that don't look black. Great player, but won't get in.
Next two, Randy Moss,
Randy Moss gets in, first ballot.
Terrell Owens. I think he's going to get held out again.
T.O., I got to agree with you.
Brian Urlacher, linebacker from the Bears.
I got to say Brian Urlacher gets in.
Okay, next we've got the seniors. These are the people whose eligibility has expired. Everson Walls, cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys.
Deserves to get in, especially that he's a graduate of Grambling University, where they had the greatest coach of all time, Eddie Robinson.
Glad you could bring that up again.
Next up, a linebacker for the Houston Oilers back in the late 70s, early 80s, Robert Brazile.
Whoa.
Robert Brazil's not in yet?
No, he is not.
Wow, he deserves to get
And
in.
then now next, we've got somebody from Vince Lombardi's Packers who led the vaunted Packers power sweep. Cleared the path for Jim Taylor. Jerry Kramer.
Jerry Kramer should have been in, man.
Yeah.
What do you, who cereal did he piss in? Maybe it was that book he wrote.
Well, who knows? And then last but not least is Bobby Beathard, former general manager of the Washington Redskins,
What a
San
bum.
Diego
He'll
Chargers.
get in. His grandson is playing quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So the people, I got 5 going in. Ray Lewis, Randy Moss, Brian Urlacher, Jerry Kramer, Bobby Beathard.
Okay, well, here is the list that I pulled off the internet
cool.
of the top 5. They feel that these are the top 5 candidates that will make it.
Okay.
Ray Lewis being number 1.
Say that again. Ray Lewis at
Randy
number
Moss being number 2.
1. Okay. Straight
Number
cash.
3 would be Brian Urlacher.
Okay, I'm right on with him.
Well, number 5 is going to shock you.
Yeah.
Number 4 and 5 will.
Okay.
And even 6. There's 6 of them. Rondé Barber.
Whoa.
You didn't mention him that he was up.
I didn't, but he didn't make the final 15. He probably won't go down as one of the best pure cornerbacks, but he's a versatile one. He's the only player in league history with 40 interceptions and 20 sacks, leading the NFL in picks
wow.
in
He didn't make the
2001.
top 15, though.
I don't believe he
He
did.
just said he didn't.
No. Next up, Brian Dawkins,
He's great
safety.
player. Great player.
Last but not least, this one will get you going. Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour,
Get
but they
on.
weren't in the top 15. This must have been.
That's right. No, these are people that they feel are the top candidates.
Top candidates to go in.
But Richard Seymour,
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
he won
Doing
3
great.
Super Bowls with Mr. Belichick in New England. But
good, but not great.
so we'll find out what happens, because sometime over the next few weeks, the inductees will be announced. It won't be until Super Bowl weekend we
They're
find out who
missing it
goes
on
through.
2 guys, Andy Russell and Donnie Shell.
No. And, me being a homer, I felt that those 2 should have been in there, but I think they're a product of, they're victims of Steelers' success, because, they can't put the entire team of the 70s
not?
into
That's
the
a
Hall
big
of
enough.
Fame.
I'm with Smoking Jim. They
you know,
should.
The Bless ain't gonna
I'm
take
with
it.
him.
And Alan Faneca, I don't think they're going to put him in there because he's down to 190 running marathons now.
What does
In
that
great
have to
shape.
do with the...
Nothing.
They want to see a big old butt on your offensive line, man.
Well, he's not an offensive lineman anymore. He retired.
Yeah, I think he should have always looked like one, though.
Well, maybe, if he wants to live past 50, maybe,
Why?
well, why? Because he's got a wife and he's got children. He wants to see them grow. He's got money in the bank,
Let me
He's got
just
every
say,
reason in the world to live.
you 2 can talk during our next commercial, but thanks, Chip Hamer. Welcome back to On Location. What a great show we had at Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Yesterday, day started out with about 4 inches of snow. I got a frantic call from Frank Finero, owner of Olive Oil's Pizzeria, in the morning. It's supposed to snow till 6 o'clock. We're going to do a show. Well, Pittsburgh Sports Line must go on. I said, no problem, we'll be there. I was there early. Smoking Jim made it early for some unknown reason. Winter weather doesn't bother him. He doesn't stand heat or cold, but he gets sick. But other than that, that's my co-host. We had a great time last night. There was a gentleman that was sitting next to Rookie of the Year, Steve Fisher, an older gentleman. He come up to me and he goes, hi, my name's George. I'm a friend of Mike McSorley. They're on their way. Well, it was 6:30. I go, I know, they're on their way. They'll be here after 7. And sat down and talked to him. Here he's a running coach. He helps the boxers with running and training them. Really great story. Great interview we had with him. We ended up having time, had him on the air. But we had Mike McSorley's Kongreb Boxing Club on. He had 2 Ukrainian boxers have been here only 11 months. Wow. They understood the talking machine and some of what Smoking Jim was saying because they can speak English. And I only had Oleg confused when I asked, what do you do when people are hitting you? He didn't understand what I was saying. They're hitting him, and are you hitting them? So somehow that lost something in the translation, but we got past that. Other than that, we had a great interview. These boxers have fought over 250 to 347 fights.
Wow.
and they come over to America because they said there's a better payday here. And Mike McSorley's been promoting them. Klitschko was their hero from the Ukraine, so they grew up watching him and wanted to box from as young as 7 years old and 10 years old. And they're pretty good boxers. Smoking Jim and I have seen them box. They can punch, and even though they fought so much, I said, how come you guys are still good looking? And they go, they don't like to get hit in the face.
That's the reason why he didn't understand when you asked him about getting hit.
Well, he tried to explain that. Chip, you caught on there. That's part of it with the hitting. Hitting's a foreign language to them. They try to avoid the punches.
They do the hitting. They don't get hit.
Definitely, and they got great punches. Then Gerald Sherrill was on, G5. What a great fighter, boxer he is. He had a video up that caught my eye last week. He's hanging from a pull-up bar, does a pull-up, turns around, and hangs. And he lets a guy punch him in the stomach for a couple minutes.
Good exercise.
And he trains, and then he does another couple pull-ups. Then he does it again. So I said, that's a heck of a training, old school there, where you're letting them beat you up so you can take those punches. And he goes, yeah, it's part of what I do. I plan ahead. And he's just a great fighter. You got to see when he boxes. He had a knockout his last fight. He described the knockout in detail. It was a great interview, play-by-play, what he was thinking, what he was punching, and how he took the guy down. A great boxer that he fought against who was in shape.
Darren Dolby's oldest son.
There we go. What? Where'd that even come from? He's 24 years old, and that's not his dad. But we had Darren Dolby, Coach D. Coach D's one of the legends that Smoking Jim used to announce fights for. He retired undefeated, wanted to stay that way, and he's a great coach. He's always given encouragement in the corner. I just like how he anticipates things for his fighters. You can tell a good corner man, Smoking Jim would be one. He sees stuff before it happens. And then he makes up some stuff too. So Smoking Jim got it covered on both ends. But that's what happens there. So we had a great night of talking boxing. Next week we'll be at the USS Steve Cunningham opened up USS Fight Academy.
Gateway.
It's out North Versailles, 1712 Lincoln Highway. So we're going to travel a little bit to do the show next week, and we'll be on location at the USS Fight Academy. It's a brand new gym, and we'll be interviewing Livy Cunningham, Steve's wife, Steve, and anybody that's out there at his gym. So look forward to that show.
Black owned.
And check it out. Pardon me?
It's black owned.
Yes.
And we're out there on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Smoking Jim, we've worked on Martin Luther King Day probably as long as I've known you, for 6 years. And in February, Smoking Jim will be doing a couple segments on Black History Month, since he gets the book out then, because somehow he loses it all year. But stay tuned for February. But we'll be on location next week in North Versailles.
I've shown an interest in making home movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore, it's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, you know, but right here is everything that you need is in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks. Like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here. Like it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and you know, let Dave be your guide.
right, we got some Steeler talk. 13-3 is for me. I don't care what Smoking Jim says. That team won 13 games with no defense, and Big Ben was overthrowing people for 3/4 of the season. Go Steelers.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, Jim never lets the facts fog his point of view. They can't stop the pass, they can't stop the run, but somehow they managed to do that 13
They
times.
managed to get it done.
But see, none of that really matters right now because right now we're 0-0, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are 1-0. And after their offensive explosion last week against the Buffalo Bills, which are a very, very weak team, the Jacksonville Jaguars have their work cut out for them. And there is not a single man in the Steelers organization that is overlooking the Jacksonville Jaguars, regardless of what my dear friend to my left tries to infer. Everybody is singularly focused for the game being played at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. I think the Steelers are going to show up ready to go. If they do they took Jacksonville lightly in Week 5, and they got it handed to them. And I don't think they're going to make that same mistake again.
Well, the Steelers are losing a few leaders. Shazier, James Harrison, and Lawrence Timmons.
I got
That's
to
a
object
lot.
that
No,
James
well,
Harrison was not a true leader. When he
James-
wasn't there, and
James-
he was all about himself.
James Harrison basically didn't play this year. Lawrence Timmons almost got thrown off the Miami Dolphins team, so I don't see what influence he would have on this team this year. And I think that what the injury to Ryan Shazier has galvanized the defense. The defense has played better since he went. The Steelers, oh, by the way, who led the NFL in sacks this year?
But the Steelers are giving up 30 yards. The Steelers.
By the way, who led the NFL in sacks this
I
year?
would say the Steelers.
Okay, that's what I've been talking about.
But since Shazier went down, they're giving up 30 yards more per game per rush, and this is the first
Per
playoff
rush?
per game. 30 yards more per game rushing, and this is the first game because it's This is the first playoff game that the Steelers enter the arena without Lawrence Timmons, without James Harrison, without Shazier. That's a lot of leadership on an already suspect run defense that you're missing out on. The guys that with playoff experience.
I
is
think,
what I'm saying.
even though that Jacksonville does have the number one running attack in the NFL,
I'm glad you.
they do.
Pointed that
They
out.
do. However, if you look at Fortinet's statistics against the Steelers, they weren't that impressive.
190 yards rush.
No, he didn't have 190
Yeah, he
yards
did.
rushing. Show me. Show me the
I'm bringing it
statistic.
up.
Because you just
Pull
pulled
it
that
up.
right.
Google
You pulled that right. But anyhow, none of that matters because here's what's going to happen. If you look at what happened when the Steelers played the Jaguars last time, the Steelers got intercepted 5 times. Ben had 2 pick sixes. Steelers lost 30-9. Okay, so Jacksonville was only able to score 16 points on offense when they
Good point.
dominated the
Chip,
Steelers.
I got to agree with you. It's a good
And
point.
if Jacksonville is only going to score 16 points with their offense, the Steelers are going to smoke them. There's just there's just no way.
And last week's game, the first half with Jacksonville was one of the worst first halves that I've seen by 2 NFL teams.
And if it wasn't for Buffalo's ineptitude, the score of the game would have been 3-0 instead of 3-3 at the half.
I know, it was
They
shocking.
were looking past Buffalo to the Steelers.
No, obviously.
And you don't want to know what?
why they didn't play.
And here's a little nugget for you, Jim, because you like to make some outrageous claims.
Sensational.
Well, I'm going to make one on my own.
Okay.
Are you ready for this one, Jim?
Yes, sir.
Viewers at home. Okay. We don't have to worry about beating the Patriots in Foxborough because the AFC Championship game is going to be played here.
You got Tennessee.
I got Tennessee's going to take them out. Okay. It's improbable. It's unlikely. I say it's going to happen.
I don't know. I'm shocked by that because Tennessee's one of the worst teams that got into the
But
playoffs.
look at that 18-point comeback showed me something about that team and about Marcus Mariota that I didn't realize he was
Another
capable
Hawaiian
of doing.
quarterback.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Run on them.
He
looks white, though.
He did not panic. He did not. I mean,
He
he
even
just.
caught a touchdown pass.
He's the only quarterback in NFL playoff history to throw a touchdown pass to himself. You can thank Darrelle Revis for that.
Wow. That was nice.
Yeah, it was.
Western Pennsylvania connection.
Yeah. Right on. Can't wait to see what you post.
But
on Facebook.
so we got the Steelers. So next we got the Atlanta Falcons playing, coming to Philadelphia. Now, I would kind of lean towards the experience of the Falcons, but then again, I look at these teams from Georgia, and you got a team, a college team last night that had a big lead in the championship game and seemed to blow that. And look what the Falcons did back in last February. They were up by 25
I'm sorry,
points.
Chip, you're right. He didn't run for 190, 181 against the
See,
Steelers.
that's a difference.
181, yeah.
Okay.
You're off by 9
I was
yards.
9 yards off.
Okay,
They called that one back.
right. See? I stand corrected. I stand corrected. See, when I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong.
Me too.
Yeah, you won't. You haven't yet. You haven't yet.
That'll be a first on Pittsburgh Sportsline. Stay
So,
tuned, folks.
everything's said and done.
And that was with Shazier.
And I'll tell you what, the
Now we don't have 'em.
Steeler team of Week 5 and the Steeler team that's going into this Sunday's
Not the
game
same, maybe?
are not the same team. No, sir. Ben
They
Roethlisberger
don't-
completed more passes to the Jaguars than he did to his own team. That's the worst day of his career. And Ben's been on fire, and I think he's going to be singularly focused. He's got all of his receiving tools available to him. Le'Veon Bell's healthy. AB went through a complete practice yesterday. He considers himself 100%. You've got Martavis Bryant to stretch the field. You've got Juju to play underneath. I think Steelers are going to find a way.
But you got an offensive coordinator up in the booth.
That's
gonna
a good
hurt.
thing.
That's going to hurt.
You know what? Keeping Haley and Big Ben separated is good. Look, they brought a coach in to separate them, so now you got
He's
space.
a hands-on coach. You need him down there.
So
grabbing
wait a minute.
players
So
and
can I
talking
just
to 'em.
ask a question?
Yes, sir.
How come that you have never given the offensive coordinator credit for any facet of any of the 13 wins we've had, but now he's going to be the reason why we lose? You just don't make any sense
Well,
sometimes, Jim.
the reason is because of the communication. Right now, if you were at home and Al was at home, the talking machine was at home, and I was here, the communication wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, you know what we do? We have a three-way call. We can all have a conversation.
And it's
and
hard to
you're
do a
gonna-
TV show like that. It's quick like this. You need that. If I can grab 14, 15 offensive guys and huddle them up and say, this is what I want.
with
Now
the
everybody got to come to the one
The
phone.
NFL guy.
I gotta interrupt you. I have rarely seen any more than 3 or 4 guys around Todd Haley.
Can I share?
Not 14 or 15 guys are sitting on the bench relaxing.
Can I share a little something? With as many commercial breaks as they're going to have in a playoff game, Todd Haley could limp down to the field, give the play, limp his bag, back up to the coach's booth, and never miss a play. So I don't think that's a non-issue. I think if you're just looking for reasons to, which is something that you do, you always try to find that dark cloud inside the silver lining
Something
or whatever.
negative, yeah.
I mean,
He does.
you're not going to give him credit. The Steelers win the Super Bowl this year. You still will not give them credit.
Oh,
You know what you'll say?
New
You
England.
know what you'll say after they win the Super Bowl this year? Well, they're never going to repeat.
You think they can beat New England at New England?
Yes.
Yes.
You travel in that area.
Yes.
You know better than that.
I'm all
Yes.
in. Smoking
Yes.
Jim, they win.
I think we could beat anybody on any field, anywhere in the United
And we
States.
can lose to anybody.
True.
We've done that.
True. But
We've
this
done that.
team can beat and will beat anybody.
They won't beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville already knocked them out.
When?
When Mike Tyson knocked out Michael Spinks, I think he could knock him out again. They say you can't beat a team twice in one day. What do you mean? They knocked him out. They beat him again.
What does that
Same
have to
thing.
do?
Same thing.
That analogy-
Everybody said the Steelers can't.
So-
Jacksonville can't beat the Steelers again.
Just like New Orleans Saints couldn't beat the Carolina Panthers 3 times this year.
And they did it, right?
Right.
See?
And the
So
Steelers
Jacksonville.
can beat Jacksonville as easily as you think that Jacksonville can beat us. I think the odds are stacked in our favor. I say the Steelers handily beat the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Who
this
do you
weekend.
got?
Who's the referee?
Who do you
Depends-
got?
I got Jacksonville, but
Okay.
depends on the ref.
I have no idea. It doesn't matter to
Okay, I
me.
thought
We
you
don't
did.
care.
Those are, what is it?
As long as the replay goes to New York, I'm okay with it.
Is Marcus Gilbert off the steroids? He ain't
Yeah.
played good since he came back from
Yeah,
steroids.
he's off of it.
He been
He
playing
had his
like
month
it.
off. They weaned him off of it. He's good. They're not even checking him right now. He'll be
And
fine.
you know they got the cheerleader extraordinaire on the sideline. You know he's going to be waving his pom poms.
Yeah, he is. I'm gonna be looking at
See,
himself.
that's what he believes.
I'm looking at himself on the jumbotron.
I still can't believe. I know I keep repeating myself. 13-3.
Okay, so
That's what we've
we're
done.
beating this horse. This horse isn't running any further.
No.
Why don't we finish up the show with a little bit of a Penguin
I
segment?
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
They turned
Penguins.
it around.
Well, they've won 2 games in a row, but the Penguins still seem to be in a bad way. Sidney Crosby has kind of lit a fire under his butt. He's got 7 points in the last 2 games, which is encouraging to see. But, you know, Sidney Crosby, he's the face of hockey, right?
Yes, sir.
Best player in the league.
Yeah.
He's not going to the NHL All-Star game again this year.
Because he's hurt?
Nope. He didn't get voted to the team.
Wow, I'm
Shocking.
shocked.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean,
Wow.
and Sid Crosby is not the problem with the Penguins. The Penguins are not meshing real well as a team because what they've got is they've got 2 strong lines, and you know what got the Penguins to the Stanley Cup the last 2 years is they had depth on their 3rd and 4th lines.
Sure.
And they don't have a 3rd line center right now that's consistently providing a
fourth line.
scoring
Bring
punch.
Yager back. He's
As a matter of fact, Yager's getting released from the
Yeah,
team that has
he's
him right now.
available. He's available.
He's
gonna be
washed
available.
up.
It might be it.
You
for
just said 3rd, 4th line center. That's a Yager.
Yager was never a center.
It is.
Winger.
Yeah, he was a winger. We
can
gotta-
play center if
We
he
got to.
needs
We got.
Smoking Jim.
Yeah.
Chip, don't let the facts get in the way of
In
a
the
good argument.
the first 24 years of his career, he never played it.
Devin Shea, he can change at 45.
No. It's great that he's played this long.
Put him in goal. He can do it all.
He could just stand
You
there.
know what? His days in the National Hockey League are over.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it could be. It's a sad day.
Father
for
Time
Smoking
caught
Jim.
up with
But
him.
his days in hockey's not. He'll
Same
go
thing with
overseas
James
and play.
Harrison. Father Time caught up with him.
Catches up to everybody. Look at you.
MVP of the Super Bowl.
Look
James
at you. You're
Harrison.
tossing pictures out when you're 18.
He's not even
I see
making.
those pictures when you're 18.
He's not even making it to the
You heard it here
AFC
first.
Championship.
You heard it here first. James Harrison, MVP, finally gets his MVP of the Super Bowl.
You know
He
what?
should've
We
got
got to
the first
end
time.
this show. I've heard enough of Smoking Jim Frazier. He's in rare form. Never gets hot, never gets cold, doesn't know it's wintertime. Unbelievable. Stay Joey strong.